Have you ever found yourself mindlessly scrolling through social media, only to realize hours have passed and you haven't accomplished anything meaningful? I know I have. This endless cycle of instant gratification has become the norm. But what if I told you it's time for a change? A dopamine detox might be just what you need. Welcome to the Catalyst Podcast, raw, real, and unedited. My name is Jason, and you can find Catalyst at Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Threads, and TikTok. You can hear the podcast created through Spreaker on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, iHeart, and Amazon. A Catalyst has the power to create change, and we hope that's what this podcast will do. Now, if you'd like to be a part of this podcast as a guest or contributor, you can email us at catalystmotivationpodcast@gmail.com. That's our new email, catalystmotivationpodcast@gmail.com. Welcome to episode 68. Is it time for a dopamine detox? So there might be some of you out there who aren't really sure what dopamine is. All right, well, let's explain. Dopamine is a neurotransmitter that plays a key role in how we feel pleasure. It's part of our brain's reward system, and it helps reinforce behaviors that make us feel good. A dopamine detox, therefore, involves reducing or eliminating activities that trigger the release of dopamine in order to reset our brain's reward pathways. Now, this isn't about completely cutting out pleasure, but rather about rebalancing our relationship with it. So what about that trap of instant gratification? Now, we've all been there. You post a picture on Instagram or Facebook or TikTok, and with every like or comment, you feel this surge of happiness. This is dopamine at work, but there's a catch. Dopamine is a short-term reward system. It pushes us to seek out instant gratification, which can lead to addictive behaviors and an overall decrease in long-term satisfaction. So when it comes to detoxing, I actually did an experiment on myself of doing a detox. I started with my biggest dopamine triggers: social media, online games, junk food, right? I gave it about a week purging myself for those activities. I'm going to be real honest. It wasn't easy at all. The first few days were incredibly tough. I felt restless and bored, but as the days went by, I began to notice a small change. And that's really all you really need, is that one small change. It doesn't have to be big or massive, just a tiny, tiny change. It gave me more time to focus on what I need to do here with Catalyst and my job and my relationships. And I finally felt more at peace. So let me tell you a story about this college student named John. John was struggling with his studies. He spent most of his free time playing video games and browsing social media. His grades were slipping, and he felt constantly stressed. So one day, after a particularly bad exam result, he decided to give a dopamine detox a try. Cut out his video games, and limited his social media to about 30 minutes a day. Now, at first, like me, he found it incredibly hard, but he was bored and he didn't know what to do with his free time, but he persisted. He continued on, he persevered, and gradually he started engage in other activities. Like he picked up some reading, started exercising, working out, and even joined a study group. And within a month, John noticed a significant improvement in his grades and overall well-being. He felt more focused and less stressed. He realized that his reliance on instant gratification had been holding him back. Now John's story isn't unique. Many people who try a dopamine detox report similar benefits. By reducing our reliance on instant gratification, we can improve our focus, productivity, and overall happiness. We become more present in our relationships and more engaged in meaningful activities. Okay, so it's tip time, folks. Here are 4 actionable tips for a dopamine detox. grab yourself a pen, piece of paper, your smartphone, whatever you use. If you're ready, here we go. Number 1, identify your triggers. The first step is to identify the activities that trigger the most dopamine release. For many people, this could be social media, video games, junk food, boob tube, couch potatoes, right? So identify your trigger. Number 2, set clear boundaries. Once you've identified your triggers, let's set those boundaries. This could be limiting your time with social media, cutting out junk food, maybe, whatever it is, take the time out. For social media, especially if you're using that as a way to earn a living, just limit it to the time that you're producing work and stay away from death scrolling. All right, number 3, find alternative activities. So these dopamine monsters that have been holding you back, take something in replace of it. Working out, walking, being in nature, reading, spending time with friends, joining a group or a club, coming up with a hobby. Replace it, right? Number 4, finally, with everything, be patient. Be patient with yourself and be patient with the process. This is going to be a process. It's not easy, especially in the beginning. It's important to be patient with yourself and give it time. The benefits won't be immediate, but they will come. When we're doing a detox from dopamine, you can put the parallels in it as just like someone who's going through a detox with drugs. You're removing yourself from it and the hold that it has on you. Is it severe as getting yourself off drugs? I'm not saying that, but there's similar parallels to it. People want to break away from sugar. People want to do, any kind of breakaway. When you're first doing it, you're not in the right mind space to get yourself away from it. And you're always going to be challenged and continue to be challenged as you try to get through it. But you need to take that action. You need to build that strength and courage and willpower. And you don't have to do it all at once. Take your time with it. Take your time with yourself. Be kind to yourself as you go through the process. Be patient. It may not happen overnight. It may not happen a year from now, but be patient with yourself and the process. You got this. You do. Love yourself enough to put yourself through the challenges to get to the other side. Okay. So a dopamine detox isn't about depriving yourself of pleasure, folks. It's about rebalancing your relationship with it. By reducing our reliance on instant gratification, we can improve our focus, productivity, and overall well-being. So, is it time for a dopamine detox? Do you think it might be time for a dopamine detox? I mean, maybe you don't need a dopamine detox. Only you can answer that question. But if you find yourself constantly seeking out instant gratification, you might want to give it a try. Okay, folks, it's that part and that time where we give you a takeaway task. So here it is. I challenge you to the 24-hour digital Sabbath, right? If you're ready to start this challenge, this dopamine detox, all right, I encourage you to try a 24-hour digital Sabbath. Now, this means completely disconnecting from all technology for an entire day. All right. I mean, outside of you doing your work. So, if you want to do it, maybe do it on a weekend or when you don't have any of that. But 24 hours, no technology at all. Trust me, it's harder than it sounds, but the benefits are immense. By taking a break from your screens, You'll probably have the opportunity to truly connect with yourself and the world around you. You'll be surprised at how much more peaceful and present you feel. That was the big one for me. So pick a day, pick maybe a non-working day where it's just you. Maybe, go to a park or take a walk in the woods or the beach or any kind of grounding natural place. Or, you know what? Stay in your room, put some headphones on with some, relaxing music or something like that, and get meditative for a while. Go around the house, maybe do some cleaning. It's really all up to you, however you want to do it. Just choose a day and commit to the Sabbath. It's a small step, but it can have a really big impact on you, right? Now, if you are going to take that action, I salute you and I'm proud of you. Let us know how you're doing. Let's be accountable to each other, right? Be sure to like and subscribe, and don't forget to follow us on all of our other social media platforms for motivational content, okay? Now, remember, you're not alone on this journey. We're all in it together. So let's break free from the chains and reclaim our lives by doing a digital detox. With that being said, this has been the Catalyst Podcast, raw, real, and unedited. My name is Jason, and you can find Catalyst at Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Threads, and TikTok. You can hear the podcast created through Spreaker on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, iHeart, and Amazon. A Catalyst has the power to create change, and we hope that's what this podcast will do. Now, if you would like to be a part of this podcast as a guest or a contributor, or let us know how your digital detox is going, you can give us a shout out at our email, catalystmotivationpodcast@gmail.com. That's catalystmotivationpodcast@gmail.com. Thank you so much for listening to episode 68. Is it time for a dopamine detox? We will see you next time for episode 69. Go be great.